ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀਓ। ਤਨਾਸਰੀ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਪੰਜਵਾਂ। ਜਤਨ ਕਰੈ ਮਾਨੁਖ ਡਹਿਕਾਵੈ, ਓਹੋ ਅੰਤਰਜਾਮੀ ਜਾਣੈ। ਪਾਪ ਕਰੇ ਕਰਮੂ ਕਰ ਪਾਵੈ, ਭੇਖ ਕਰੈ ਨਿਰਬਾਨੈ। ਜਤਨ ਕਰੈ ਮਾਨੁਖ ਢਹਿਕਾਵੈ, ਉਹ ਅੰਤਰਜਾਮੀ ਜਾਣੈ। ਪਾਪ ਕਰੇ ਕਰਮੂ ਕਰ ਪਾਵੈ, ਭੇਖ ਕਰੈ ਨਿਰਬਾਨੈ। ਜਤਨ ਦੂਰ ਤੁਮ ਹੈ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਨੇਰ, ਜਾਨਤ ਦੂਰ ਤੁਮ ਹੈ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਨੇਰ। ਉਤ ਤਾਕੈ ਉਤ ਤੇ ਉਤ ਪੇਖੈ, ਆਵੈ ਲੋਭੀ ਫੇਰ ਰਹਾਉ। ਜਬ ਲਗ ਟੁੱਟੇ ਨਾਹੀ ਮਨ ਭਰਮਾ, ਤਬ ਲਗ ਮੁਕਤ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ। ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਦਿਆਲ ਸੁਆਮੀ, ਸੰਤ ਭਗਤ ਜਨ ਸੋਈ। ਜਬ ਲਗ ਟੁੱਟੇ ਨਾਹੀ ਮਨ ਭਰਮਾ, ਤਬ ਲਗ ਮੁਕਤ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ। ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਦਿਆਲ ਸੁਆਮੀ, ਸੰਤ ਭਗਤ ਜਨ ਸੋਈ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, today's ਪਾਵਨ ਪਿੱਤਰ ਹੁਕਮਨਾਮਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ from Sajjan Sri Harmandir Sahib is on Ang 680 in Tanasri Rag by Guru Arjun Dev Ji. Guru Arjun Dev Ji, Padshah Ji, saying to us that Jatan kare. Jatan means somebody that makes an effort. So the word Jatan literally translates to effort. Jatan kare. Somebody that makes effort, and they say that manukh dehkave. And then what dehkave means, when you deceive someone. So Satguru Ji is saying here, somebody that goes about and does many things in their life, does different types of, commits different types of actions, and within that, within all those efforts, what they're trying to do is they're trying to deceive someone. Oh antarjami janne, but not realizing, not having that understanding, but that oho, that one, referring to Vaheguru, saying antarjami. Antar means inside, jami means knower. Saying not realizing that one, the inner knower, janne, knows everything. So you may be able to deceive people in this world for a certain amount of time, or you may even feel that you've got away with it for good. But Satguru Ji is saying the truth is there's somebody that knows everything and you cannot escape from them. And then they say that paap kare, that you're doing paap, you're committing sins, paap kare, but then even after doing them, karmu kar pave, but then you deny that you've even done those actions, that you've even committed those sins. Paap kare karmu kar pave. But Sangat Ji, even if you take this on a worldly example, somebody might even be able to, they may be able to get away from dodging the law. They may be able to get away with dodging the police, or not getting caught for certain crimes somebody is doing. But one thing, and they may be able to, even if somebody is caught is arrested on suspicion of doing something, they still may be able to get away with it. They may be able to deny it because there's not enough evidence against them. So even whether it be in any type of situation in life, somebody, even in a marriage, somebody may have suspicions on their partner for cheating, but they haven't got any hard evidence, but they're just basing it off the way they are acting. So, but they're able to deny it and maybe even get away with it. But Satguru Ji is reminding us over here, saying that Jatan kare manuk dhekave, that you make many different various attempts on actually trying to deceive people. They're saying, but not realizing you may be able to deceive them, but oh antarjami jane, but that inner knower knows everything. Paap kare, the sins that you are committing, kar mukar pave, but now you are actually denying what you've done. Pek kare nirbane, saying pek kare nirbane, and you're deceiving people. And it's not just somebody, this isn't talking about, Satguruji here is not even talking about somebody that actually lives their life in where the whole world knows, you know what, this person's always up to no good. This person, and they actually show the world what they're actually about, and they don't hide what they're about in the sense of, yes, they hide certain actions they do. They might go out robbing at night. They don't tell people that, but people know generally this person isn't religious minded, this person isn't spiritual, this person doesn't have faith in a creator. But then this Satguruji is talking about those type of people. Which ones? They're saying that pek kare nirbane. They're saying they've got a pek on. Pek means they've got those type of robes on. But pek here, what we've got to remember is, sometimes when we think about pek and we say religious robes, we often think about a chola, maybe some white clothes, a kurta. A chola means these type of, you know, a kurta is something like what I'm wearing here, or a chola, even a robe, a religious robe. We start thinking about that, but what we don't remember is often enough that as Gursikhs, that even though we may just be wearing normal sansari kapde, normal clothes that we wear of today's society, and that might be a shirt, that might be trousers, that might be a t-shirt, tracksuit bottoms, or whatever it is, but remember, our pek is what? Our pek is our kakar. So somebody's got the pek of having their case, they've got their dastar, they got their kada, or somebody might not even have a kirpan, they might not be amritari, but they've still got some form of pek, they've still got some sort of robes in the sense of their case, or a type of pek, which is showing the world that they are spiritual minded, that they follow a guru. So here they're talking about pek kare nirbane, and the word nirbane comes from the word nirvan. Nirvan means those, they're talking about those people that live in where they have reached that state of becoming desireless. That's what nirban means, when somebody becomes desireless. And for some faiths, that is actually their laksh in life. Laksh means that's their aim, where to reach. So Satguruji is saying that pek kare nirbane, they come across to the world as if they are nirban, they are desireless, and they look very religious. One thing very important to remember here is, for us, for more of us to be able to relate to this, there's many people that do not set off with bad negative intentions. There's very few people that are out there that will actually go out there and dress up or become even amritari, if you want to say that, and they've actually got an intention to deceive people. Those are very rare examples. Those are very few that will actually do that are actually, you know, intentionally, that's what they had set from the beginning, that I'm going to wear these religious clothes, I'm going to come across like this to certain people, but my intentions are to deceive them, because this is what my actual goal is. For most people, for us to relate to, are those that haven't started off with that intention, are actually making a humble attempt to walk on the path of truth. Somebody's embraced Sikhi, they've come into this way of life. Somebody may have even received Khande Bhatte, the Amrit, or may not have, but has started to do Sangat and is getting involved now in going now to more programs, Kirtan, Katha, and is building up the more Gursikh Sangat. But what happens is, whilst they're on this journey, so now because of that, we've got that bake, we've got that look. So the look of wearing whatever we're wearing, a qada, the star, and then we get caught up somehow because there's something missing inside, or due to whatever form of sangat or an pichla karam, some actions that we've done in the past, and they've kind of come forefront again within our mind, and then they've kind of taken us on a little ride. So over here, so Satguruji saying that mukar, and then this is the important part, when then we become in denial. So what does it mean here? That this sometimes, so for example, somebody's actually outright, they get caught for doing something and they deny it. The other way of looking at this is, so when we're actually doing something wrong, we try and these aren't great words, using wrong, right, but this is just language, and it's for us to try and understand that if somebody has done a sinful act, because we use the word sin because Guru Sahib Ji's used the word paap, but they justify it within their own mind. So they justify it, for example, just like that Sajjan Thug did. And Sajjan Thug, he called himself a Sajjan, a friend of all, but he was actually a Thug. A Thug means somebody that robs somebody, but they go to the extent of poisoning them, murdering them, but they try and justify their actions because of their own life experiences for why they're actually doing that. So when Guru Nanak Dev Ji went to this Sajjan Thug's house, that little did he know that Guru Nanak Dev Ji is Oho Antarjami Jane, is the one that knows everything, that is the inner knower. So his intention was to actually poison Guru Nanak Dev Ji, not knowing that Guru Nanak Dev Ji knew everything about him. So it's not very often in life that we actually come across somebody that knows everything in that way. So for us it's more difficult, where he faced someone physical in Guru Sahib Ji in the physical form that knew everything, but for us it's not so obvious, and we don't often meet somebody that knows us inside out and just can tell what's going on inside of us. There are those people as well, that obviously those can be like our partners that really know us really well and pick up certain habits of ours, and they can tell if there's a change. But there's those Mahapurkhs, there's those sants as well, those spiritual beings as well, that are in this human form, that have got so much stillness inside of them that they've got insight of what's going on in somebody else's mind. But it's not very often we come and meet those type of people. So what we forget is there's somebody that sits inside of us, that is Vaheguru Ji, that we cannot dodge, that we cannot escape from. Because Sadhguru Ji saying that Agoho deke, picho deke, tujte kaha chapave. They're saying I can look forward, Agoho deke, piche deke, that I can look back, but tujte kaha chapave. But how can I hide from that one that is sitting inside? And for anyone that is not able to relate to this, and if anyone reads today's description, I've used the word, the judge of righteousness, Dharmaraj. This is that when that Dharmaraj asks for our account. So now let's look at this in the way of God being in the form of that righteous judge. They say that Dharmaraj jab lekha mange. They're saying when that Dharmaraj that asks for our account, this says, and now what will you do? What are you going to be able to do now when the righteous judge is asking for your account? So Pachi is saying that Dharmaraj jab lekha mange, kya mukh leke jahenga. This is what face will you take to that Dharmaraj. And there's another pankti where Sadhguru Ji says, ab kaha kare go. They're saying, what will you be able to do now? Is there anything you can do now? That when Sadhguru Ji is saying that to us, somebody might say that I don't believe in God. Somebody might say that I don't have faith in the existence of God, that God actually exists. But what we don't realize is that we cannot deny the existence of Dharmaraj, meaning that judge that is always in play, that is in constant play. And is in constant play in which way? That Satguru Ji Path Ji say to us that, think about this ab kaha karhoge aisi. So Satguru Ji Path Ji saying to us that what will you be able to do now if you can't escape from what Vaheguru Ji is doing? So to make sense of this, if somebody can't actually connect to that Vaheguru Ji is inside of us. But what we can all connect to is that we cannot deny, definitely cannot deny is this, that there's a reaction to every action that we do. Be whatever action that is, we all know that there's a reaction to it. We know if we eat certain foods, if we actually consume a certain diet, if we know we eat food that are filled with high calories, we're eating fatty foods, we know eating that, we cannot avoid the reaction that will come from that. And what is that? We'll put on weight. And that is the righteous judge. So when we say that I don't believe in that we're going to have to go and give an account to someone after we die, who's talking about having to only show our account to after death? Satguru Ji tells us very clearly that here's the pangti that I was looking for. Satguru Ji says to us, Dharmaraya ab kaha karego jo fatyo saglo lekha. Sangat Ji, so there's this pangti where Satguru Ji saying on the other side is that when a saint takes care of you, then even that righteous judge cannot do anything about your account. But we'll come to that in a minute. So we cannot, even if somebody could sit at home now and say, I don't feel it, I can't experience God inside of me. How do I know that everything's been watched? This is how you know that even when we talk about Dharmaraj and our account's going to be seen by this righteous judge, but we often picture that like certain other faiths and religions, the way they kind of depict it to us is after death we're going to be sitting in front of someone. There's no denial that our account isn't going to be judged when we leave this body, but what we don't realize is that sabna likhya vuri kalam. This is the most important thing for us to understand, where Satguru Ji is saying to us is sabna likhya vuri kalam, that everyone's account is being written by a forever flowing pen. So you can take that to be that Dharmaraj, the righteous judge, is constantly writing and constantly judging and constantly is creating that reaction to our action. We often, in religions, people use the word, you are constantly being punished. But being punished isn't a word that people like to use, and as soon as they hear the word punish, that gives them a reason not to believe in God, because they say, well, if there's a God that punishes us, then why should we believe in that type of God? Because this I can't emphasize enough, it's not about believing, it's not about punishing, but it's about realizing there's a consequence for everything. That is the righteous judge in play at all times. That is the inner knower. The inner knower is that I can deny my actions to the world, I can deny it even to myself, but I cannot deny anything that I am doing to the inner knower, because that righteous judge is in constant play. Sabna likhya vuri kalam, that pen is forever flowing, meaning the moment that I think of something that has become an action now, and then there's that forever pen that is flowing, and a reaction comes from that instant. The moment I do something, the moment I speak a bitter word, the reaction from that comes instantly. So we keep thinking of this picture that we've got within our mind of actually sitting in front of a judge it doesn't mean that there's not a judge sitting inside of us right now, just because we can't see that judge and it's not in the form the way we see, because our mind is so programmed, it starts to actually try and depict a judge that we see over in this world, but it's not like that. There's a judge inside that is formless, that hasn't got a form. But how do we know that judge exists? Because we cannot escape any action that we are doing. Just like Sangaji, there's some people think that action is only physical. We do something with our hands. No, action is even with thought. Even sitting down and we think we are doing nothing isn't the truth. Because even sitting down is a form of action. Because there will be a reaction from that. We know if we sit down for too long, that our bum will get tired. It'll start to, that's the reaction from this action. So we'll get tired of even sitting. But we don't think of it to that extent. So what happens is, so when somebody like Sajjan Tag, he thinks that I can get away with everything, little does he know that Guru Nanak Dev Ji, that formless that is sitting inside of us, is always creating that reaction that from whatever we are doing, Guru Nanak Dev Ji sitting there in front of him that knows every thought that he's having. Guru Nanak Dev Ji knows very well that he's got this thought of trying to poison Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji remains alert and tells him that I'm not hungry today, so I'm not going to eat anything today. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji doesn't eat anything because they know he's going to poison. They know that he's going to try and poison them. So because Guru Nanak Dev Ji has got that antarjanta, is the inner knower. And then in the end of it all, what is it he's trying to deny? He's trying to justify his actions by doing what? He's saying, but all saints are fake. And you know what? I've been burnt by them before and they've actually deceived me. So now I'm going to deceive them and I'm actually doing society a favor by getting rid of them, and I'll take all of their money and I'll enjoy that money because I deserve it because of what's happened to me. So he's justifying his actions. And often we do that, but not knowing he's not getting away with anything. That Guru Nanak Dev Ji knows everything. And in that same way, but he was actually a murderer. So there's not many of us sitting here today that will be able to relate to that, because there's not many of us with the Guru's grace that are watching this that are murderers and actually go to that level and that extent. But there's more of us that will be able to relate to where Satguru Ji is saying to us that paap kare, we're committing these sins, kar muh kar, and then you're denying it, you're even justifying your actions. And then another thing is when you start to suffer from inside and you start to feel anxiety from inside because of what you've done or what you are doing, then that is mukkar. You're saying, why do I feel like this? That it's not my fault. And so the example that when I saw this Hukamnama this morning that I thought was, and I know that when I wrote the description out, my Veer even asked me that are you serious? Are you sure you want to use this? Because what came to my mind is when somebody commits adultery, or somebody is having an affair, somebody's cheating on their partner, somebody may be in a committed relationship, they've not even got married yet. And even though obviously within Sikhi that Satguru Ji says to us that you don't form relationships until you're married, but just so if there's anybody watching this video can relate to this example, you may not be married, but for you within your mind you're in a committed relationship. But mostly we're here focusing on marriages. And I actually thought of certain examples that I've come to hear that have happened only recently in the last maybe 10 years. And what could that be? Sorry, not what could that be. What that is somebody that is even trying to follow this path of Sikhi. They've even got the Panj Kakaran, so they've got the Pek Kare Nirbane. And people think that they are Nirban, they are desireless, these are such good people. And it's not to say that they're not good people, but they get caught up in something. And so they've got a really good even name out there. But what happens is that your mind starts to play tricks on you, and when you're not content from inside, that you haven't found that inner love, that what happens is when you're not content, when you're not receiving what your expectations are out of a relationship, then your mind starts to justify certain actions and makes excuses. And then I've come to know, this isn't talking about just one example, so don't think I'm singling somebody's situation out. This is about 3-4 different cases that I've heard in the last few years, and I'm just collating them all together, just like Bhai Baljit Singh Ji does with some of his novels, because I don't want somebody sitting at home saying, oh look, he's talking about us. No, I'm taking about 3-4 different cases, and I'm mixing them, I'm mingling them, and I'm collating them together. And then what happens is, this person starts to try and that gap that they are feeling that is missing in their relationship, they try and fill that by when somebody else is giving them attention. So they're getting that attention from somebody else, but even that attention they are getting from somebody else might be actually living in robes, might be actually living where they've dedicated their whole life, and they're living a life of celibacy, and they've dedicated their life and saying that now my marriage is with Guru Sahib Ji. But then they are deceiving who? They're trying to deceive their Guru directly, Guru Sahib Ji, because they're living a life of celibacy, and then this person is deceiving their partner. So what happens is that within our mind, that we come to this justification. So it's not making a judgment on anyone. I'm just trying to get Sangha to understand the psychology of the mind, the way it works. And then it leads into having an affair. Whether that be a physical affair, whether that just be an emotional affair, and we end up in a relationship outside of the marriage. And then what happens is, they can remember this word here, that where Sache Paatshah Ji is saying to us, Mukar Pave. Mukar Pave here, one thing that happens is, what we've got to remember is when somebody is cheating and they're deceiving someone, they can never be at peace within their mind. They will, even if somebody likes the challenge and likes to live their life on edge, but most people aren't doing it in that way. Most people are, because of their expectations have not been met, because they're not content from inside, so they're seeking that from somebody else. They end up doing these things. But Satguru Ji says you'll never find peace in your mind. If we look at this month's Upadesh, if we look at the teachings that the Guru Arjun Dev Ji has given us for this month, and they're saying that Vesak Tiran Kyo Vadiya Jina Prem Bichoho, they're saying that how can you expect Visak Tiran Kyo Vadiya? Kyo means how, Tiran means how can they have any form of, Tiran here means peace within their mind, feel at ease. Visak Tiran Kyo Vadiya, Vadiya is that wife, Jina Prem Bichoho, who actually forsakes and moves away from her love, which is her husband, and Jina Prem Bichoho separates from that husband. They say Visak Tiran Kyo Vadiya Jina Prem Bichoho, Sajjan Purk Visar Ke Laggi Maya Toho. They've let go of their companion, Sajjan Purk Visar Ke Laggi Maya Toho, and is actually attached themselves to that illusionary Maya that is deceitful. So they'll never feel at ease. But then they question God. They say, why am I feeling like this? They're in denial. It's actually me, because I'm cheating, I'm deceiving my partner. That's why I'm feeling uneasy. That's why I'm this inside anxiety is growing. So it's about taking responsibility for our actions and not denying that is the Antarjami, that is the inner knower, that is the one that we can't escape from, that is the righteous judge, that is forever writing, that forever karma of ours is that we can't escape. So we're doing that action now, we're deceiving someone, and in that same breath, Paach is saying, Tiran kyo vad? How do you expect for you to be, yes, it might feel good in that moment when you go off with this other person, and in that moment for you they're fulfilling all your needs and desires physically and emotionally, that attention that your partner wasn't giving you, you're getting it all there. But when you come back, there's that guilt. There's that when you're looking at them, you've got to do all these things, how you're trying to hide your messages on your phone, you're constantly then deleting them, you're hiding emails, or then constantly deleting your last called, because so you're trying to find every way possible not to get caught, not realizing this anxiety, you're getting caught out anyway, because that judge, Vaheguru Ji is the Dharmaraj. Let's not, it's just another name for Vaheguru Ji, another job that Vaheguru Ji does. It's not a separate entity. It is Vaheguru Ji, is that righteous judge that we cannot escape from, these then emotions that take over us. And we can deny to the other person what we're doing, but we might even deny it to ourselves and justify it, but we can still not escape that reaction that is going to come from those actions, the consequences of our mind being in turmoil, or whatever the consequence is. That's what this means. That's what antarjami means. Antarjami isn't just, we don't think about these things, we don't contemplate, we just say, yeah, he knows everything. Okay, what does it mean that one knows everything? It means that we can't escape our even thoughts and actions from that one. So we cannot deceive Vaheguru Ji. So let's do now the rest of the arth parts in Janat Dur. It's because we end up thinking that the righteous judge Vaheguru Ji is far, it's going to be after death, and we'll say, Chal, if it's after death, we'll see about that then. But not realizing it's happening now. And what we don't realize, what it's going to end up, what consequences we're going to end up in mentally or even physically, because then once mentally we're hiding something, it will start to affect the body as well. We'll start to get diseased physically as well. Janat dur tumeh prab nere, not realizing that one is so close. That one is so close that we cannot escape that one. And then what we're doing is constantly, because we're dissatisfied and we're not in contentment from inside, so we're take means we're looking that direction, then that way. We're looking at different things of how to try and satisfy ourselves. So somebody could be in multiple relationships. So somebody could end up where they're like looking at that person, looking at that person, and then saying, yeah, I'd like to be with her as well, I'd like to be with her as well. So looking there, you can put this into your own examples, because I'm just going to stick to this one so it doesn't confuse anyone. But what's saying is fair means a cycle, but ave, they've come into this cycle of greed now. It's now become greed, not satisfied with your partner. So now then, out of this greed, you think, well, maybe I'll be satisfied with that person, not realizing the problem is inside of me, that I lack contentment. That's why I've fallen into this cycle of having these affairs. So somebody might actually think they've got a actual just reason to do it. Then it's best to try and go about it in the way where, if they feel that they are being abused or whatever it is in the relationship, and instead is going about it in a different approach and way of that relationship, and trying to be as honest as possible and being upfront about that this isn't working, and then moving on with your life. So, because otherwise it will never bring comfort to us, it will never bring peace to us. We're trying to find that peace, but we've actually fallen into this cycle of lobe, of greed. Rahao, we've done plenty of contemplation there, Sangat ji. Jab lag tutte nahi, the saying, until that doesn't break inside of us. What doesn't break? Man parma, this mind being in this constant chase and wandering around here, there, expecting that inner gap to be fulfilled, not realizing that it's actually serving the Guru and finding love within. It's me becoming love, and then I won't seek that love from anywhere else. And this is tab lag mukt na koi. This is until then, until your doubt of your minds aren't clear, this is you will not become liberated. These are doubts, thinking if I go to that person, that person will be able to fulfill me. But no, there will still be a gap inside. It might fulfill you for a short period. You could even ruin your marriage and go off with that person. But even after a while, there's something else that we are seeking. We are seeking to become love, not to take it from somebody else. So yes, sometimes it might be better that a relationship might need to come to an end because it's become so damaging, and you might be better off with somebody else. There's no denying in that, and your life might be better with that person. But what we're looking for is to become love from inside. And then Sangat Ji Paat Ji saying to us, Kende kaho Nanak Dayal Swami Sant Pagat Jan Soi, saying only those that Vaheguru Ji is merciful upon, that showers their kindness to, Kende Sant Pagat Jan Soi, saying only those become the true devotees and true saints of God. And so what's the takeaway message from this Gatha and contemplation today is that we cannot deny that Vaheguru Ji cannot be deceived. Vaheguru Ji is that judge that we cannot escape, and we cannot be satisfied and be at peace by trying to deceive people, trying to deceive ourselves, trying to deceive Vaheguru. That is the most important one that we cannot escape, because there will be consequences, and there will be where we will not feel no tiraj, we will have no peace inside. So by living a life of cheating, we cannot escape that one inside, no matter how much we deny it. So Sangat Ji, let's live in that awareness, that let's not think of the judge in the future, because life is now. This moment is inevitable. We cannot escape this moment. The righteous judge is now. Vaheguru Ji is now. The judgment is now. The whatever action is in this moment, the reaction will start instantly. We might not realize it till years later, or we might realize it straight away. So Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.